Now, this document relates to Mr James having to take a proficiency check prior to being able to act as a pilot and commander of a multi-crew aircraft, and I provided you with a copy of that. It's a form signed by Mr Roger Chambers, but I note that it is not. My understanding is it is not properly endorsed. So, are you able to confirm that, or do you need to take that on notice?
I'll take it on notice.
Right. So, I need you to advise whether it's an appropriately endorsed form, and can you confirm whether the form, whether the recommendation of Mr Chambers has been actioned or not?
I understand a condition was put on Mr James's licence many years ago, maybe 5 years ago. I haven't got the detail in front of me, maybe about 5 years ago, that a condition was put on his licence. I believe his air transport pilot's licence was suspended. My colleagues might be able to correct me if I'm not correct. And a condition was put on it.
Right.
He retains his private pilot's licence and commercial pilot licence.
Right, but this appears to be a new form in addition to the conditions applied previously. Is that your understanding?
I haven't got it, Senator.
So if there's
I don't
a new
know.
form, I might ask you on notice as to why there is that. I've got access to an internal CASA email, again through the FII process, that reveals that an official is having regard to the draft ATSB report in his handling of Mr James' proficiency check. Is that something that is allowed under the Transport Safety Investigation Act?
Senator, well, I haven't got the information, so I'm not.
But
in a
as a
position
general
to
principle,
comment.
leaving aside Mr James's case, can CASA take into account under the Transport Safety Investigation Act, and in particular I think the section 2632, can they actually have any regard to any draft report in making a decision?
I wouldn't expect so, Senator, but I would expect that there is a lot of material about this, of course, because there's a previous Senate inquiry and there's a previous ATSB report on this matter. So, again, without being able to investigate, I'm not really in a position to say.
No. Well, can you answer this? It's a basic process issue. If there is a draft ATSB report...
If it's a draft interested parties report, Senator, which is just out for comment, I would expect that would have no bearing.
Okay. And it seems on the face of it that it is having a bearing on the decisions made by CASA, given that there was an email from Malcolm Campbell of the 6th of October 2017 to Fred van der Heide.
But the decision to put the condition on Mr James's licence is 5 years ago, Senator. I don't believe the condition has changed. Unless my colleagues can explain differently, I understand that condition was placed on it some time ago and has not been varied.
Well, can I put this to you? Noting section 12AA3 of the Transport Safety Investigation Act, why are CASA officials utilising a draft, utilising an ATSB report to determine how to deal with a pilot, and noting sections 26 of the Transport Safety Investigation Act, why are CASA officials utilising an ATSB draft report to determine how to deal with a pilot?
Senator, I can only respond because I don't know whether they are or not. My expectation, as I said, just to make it clear once again, the conditions were put on this licence 5 years ago, and to my knowledge, those conditions have not changed. There is a draft interested parties report that was circulated about the Pelair matter. Two interested parties, including us. We get to comment on an interested parties report, as does Mr James. I'm not aware that report would be used in consideration of Mr James's case, because I would say that the conditions that are on Mr James's ATPL or on his licence are the same conditions that have been on it. And I have no consideration. I would just go on to say that I've had approaches from Mr James about removing those conditions in the last 4 weeks, 3 weeks. Those conditions have been in place for 5 years. The ATSB report is due to be handed down in 3 weeks. I'm considering the approach to Mr James, but I will not make a decision until after the ATSB report is finalised.